Understand that evil exists, and evil will always exist, no matter what laws we pass. We can't outlaw the devil that lurks in the hearts of people. Hey everyone, this is Mike from Catholic Treehouse. I'd like to welcome you to episode 41 of the Saint in Progress podcast, your source for inspiration, information, and directions for your soul's journey back home to the Father's house. As always, you can find us at catholictreehouse.com or saintinprogress.com and on Substack at catholictreehouse.substack.com. I took a week off last week, essentially to reflect over what had happened on Wednesday with the school shooting in Minneapolis. And I didn't want to weigh in on it until all the facts came in. And just wanted to take some time to pray about it and gather my thoughts on the situation. As always, a lot of people were interested in a hot take. And also people were asking the same questions every time something bad happens. So why does a good God allow this? I'd like to recommend a book called Why Must I Suffer? A Book of Light and Consolation, written back in 1923 by Reverend F.J. Remler. And he lists 15 reasons why we go through suffering. Now, I don't know if any of these are exactly applicable to this situation, and I don't pretend to know any of the families involved or the victims involved to be able to sit there and point and say, aha, it's number 7 or something like that. But it is a really good read, and it's good to kind of have on hand in case you go through a rough situation, rough diagnosis or something like that. Again, it's called Why Must I Suffer? A Book of Light and Consolation by Reverend F.J. Remler. I have a abridged version of that in the book that Catholic Treehouse publishes called Passing Time. And I have that as well as some other meditations by St. Alphonsus de Liguori and some other prominent Catholics over the course of time that deal with suffering and other sensitive topics like that. So that's Passing Time. You can find that at catholictreehouse.com. So one of the things I mentioned that I wanted to do was avoid hot takes on this issue. And I'm trying more and more to avoid hot takes in general. Mainly because when you jump out, whether it's on social media or texting with friends and family or whatever, and you jump out with your hot take, it leaves you with basically two options if the situation changes and the truth comes out and maybe your hot take was a little bit too hot and you were wrong on something. Well, actually, I guess there's more than two directions you could take. Saying there's only two things you could do that presents a false dichotomy. And I guess if you're not a debate nerd like I am, a false dichotomy was called a logical fallacy that some people use to try to win an argument, where basically they present you either option A or option B, and then they'll use another fallacy called a straw man argument to attack argument A, which is typically your argument, thus leaving only option B as the approved and rational choice for whatever they're trying to argue for, and which of course is their argument. So a false dichotomy is just presenting two options when there could be option C, D, E, or a combination thereof. So let's just think through this. Let's say you go out there with a hot take on a situation and some more information comes to light and you were proven wrong. Okay, so the first thing you can do is you can double down on your hot take. And you don't care what the new information says. You're just doubling down because you don't want to be wrong. This is most frequently what you'll see on the internet in various different discussion forums and Facebook and all that kind of thing. So the other thing you can do would be to soften your stance without necessarily renouncing it. A third thing you can do would be to take a new stance and pretend like you never had the first one in the first place. You could also say nothing and just exit the conversation and just disappear and not engage in the conversation and just pretend like it never happened. The only right thing you can do if you have a hot take and new information comes out and it casts a bad light on what your hot take was, is to say that I was wrong. That's the only right thing to do. That involves a degree of humility that a lot of people just flat out don't have. So That's why it's best to, in general, just avoid hot takes, wait a bit, let situations cool down, think it over, discuss it with trusted people, and then reintroduce yourself into the conversation at a later point in time. So let's talk about Minneapolis. Let's zoom out further from what happened in Minneapolis and just talk about some basic truths here. The first basic truth is that evil exists. 1 Peter 5:8, he says, "Be sober and watch, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, goeth about seeking whom he may devour." Evil exists, my friends. The second thing is that the devil hates children. He hates children because children are images and likeness of God. That's why the devil loves abortion, because he hates children. The devil is waging a campaign to get people to hate their own bodies because they are images of the Creator. And this goes more than just the whole trans thing. This also gets into all the different body modification stuff with piercings, tattoos, and all the rest of it. The devil also hates families because families create children. So he is waging a war against the family. This is what I wrote about in my book, Rebellion. And the other thing is the devil will use those who he tricks as weapons against those who stand fast. He will trick people and use them as tools, as weapons, to destroy families. He will use them as tools and weapons against children. That's basically what happened in Minneapolis. Now, one of the pages from the perpetrator's notebook shows him in front of a mirror. He drew this drawing of himself standing in front of a mirror. And in the reflection, it's not him, it's a demon. Now, was the perpetrator demonically possessed or oppressed? Was he just disturbed? Well, that doesn't matter. All that matters is the only fact that we can discern with absolute certainty is that he was an instrument of evil. The other basic truth is that the devil hates Jesus and he hates Our Lady. What is the name of the school that was attacked? Annunciation School. The Annunciation of the Word becoming flesh. That is what was attacked that day, not just the children. So what can we as Saints in Progress do? Well, the first thing we can do is avoid hot takes for all the reasons I outlined above. The second thing we can do is listen to St. Peter, our first pope. Be alert and understand that evil exists, and evil will always exist, no matter what laws we pass. We can't outlaw the devil that lurks in the hearts of people. I wish we could just pass a law and make the devil go away. Unfortunately, that's not possible. We have to deal with the fact that the devil exists. So the other thing we can do is we can hate everything the devil loves and love everything that the devil hates. So love God, our Creator. Love the way God created us. Love Jesus Christ, our Redeemer. Love the Blessed Virgin Mary, our Queen Mother. And love our children as God loves them. Remember, we can't pass laws against evil any more than we can pass laws that compel someone to love another person. But what we can do is live in a state of grace, love God, and love our neighbor. So that's it for now. Pray your rosary. Pray for peace to come to those families in Minneapolis. And most importantly, love your neighbor as you love yourself, as you love the way God made you. And remember that you are a saint in progress. So go out there and be a saint.